everyone, JP Backwell here, Managing Director at ILUS and CEO at Quality Industrial Corp. So it's been a while since we last recorded an ILUS or a QIND focused podcast. So I thought I'd just take this moment to give you a brief update and also address a few of the current talking points. So what I've done is I've just noted down a few bullet points and I'm just going to try and whiz through them, hopefully to your benefit. So since our annual shareholder meeting just less than a month ago now, we've been primarily focused on several of the key deliverables across our group. And on one hand, a lot of our work and our progress has not exactly been glamorous. You know, it's under the hood, as we often refer to, because it amounts to making improvements in the business, increasing efficiencies, hiring, in some cases firing, integrating new acquisitions, there's product development, certification, and so much more that's been going on. So, you know, we've been adding the essential building blocks, and most of the time that's not incredibly sexy, but it's all very essential for our growth and for our sustainability, and certainly for where we're headed as a company. But then on the other hand, some of what we've been busy with is phenomenally exciting. Some of our more exciting plans and developments, which I know many of you would be aware of, they've been underway for a while now, and those are coming to fruition. So, you know, for us as a management team, we're just excited to be taking the company to the next stage. It's always been a part of our timeline. It's always been a part of our plan. And so we're excited to be taking those next steps as a company. But as things unfold soon, I'm sure many questions, shareholder questions, will be answered, and positively, I believe. But I'll circle back to more about that shortly. For now, let me just give you a quick update on some current developments and talking points. Firstly, and I'm sure many of you would be aware of this already, that 40 million share cancellation finally went through last week. And so I think many shareholders will be happy to see that finally taking place. Secondly, and just to clarify, we recently filed a certificate of correction to reverse our name at the state of Nevada. That's from ILUS International Inc. back to Illustrator Pictures International. And now we've done this because we needed to accelerate some progress in an important area of the business administratively. But of course, I must concede that changing the name at state was an oversight on our part, and we should have awaited the separate FINRA approval before doing this. However, I must be very, very clear that our reversal of the name at state has nothing to do with our application to FINRA. That's ongoing, and that's going according to plan. We're currently responding to FINRA questions, which is as expected, and we have until a date in April to respond to them. Although I would expect that we'd be responding much sooner than that. So I just wanted to clarify that regarding our reversal of that name at state. And then thirdly, just regarding QIND, since it signed the definitive share purchase agreement with Quality International, both companies, we've been working together to get through the final closing documentation. And we've been busy with that last week, the weeks preceding, and into this week. I just wanted to confirm that everything is lined up as it needs to be for that, for closing, and the announcements will be made as and when they're required for that. So I just wanted to update on that front. And then finally, there's also, and understandably so, a ton of speculation regarding our uplist plans. And I just want to say that, you know, for reasons, as I would hope are obvious, we cannot answer the multitude of questions we get about this, specifically with regards to how and when, etc. If information's not public, we certainly cannot be responding to individual emails about it or messages that we get through the various channels. So, you know, hopefully those that are listening that have sent in emails, hopefully you can understand that we will make announcements publicly in due course, and we are busy working on our first subsidiary move to a big board. And I think, you know, based on what we're currently busy with, I can really just say keep a close eye on ILUS and QIND. We're working through everything. We're making really good progress, certainly since the annual shareholders meeting for sure. And we're also working through the structure which would ensure maximum value for shareholders and consecutive value as each subsidiary would move up. So as I said, you know, just watch this space. And then, just as I mentioned earlier, a lot of our progress since the annual shareholder meeting has also been under the hood, which in my view is most important to us as a company. We've also been busy with various administrative procedures and the mandatory filings, so I just thought I'd run through some of those very quickly. We are preparing our ILUS and QIND annual reports, so that's the Form 10Ks. From my perspective, I'd say I'm very pleased with the annual results. The 10Ks, they certainly serve to rubber stamp the exceptional progress we've made in less than 2 years as a company. For one thing, the 2022 revenue growth over 2021 looks to be even higher than was, I would say, conservatively shared at our shareholder meeting. So that's a real positive, and I think there's a number of positives in the annual results, and we're looking forward to sharing those with you. Again, as mentioned earlier, our application to FINRA for the name change, that's ongoing, and we're responding to those FINRA questions, as I mentioned. We also recently filed a second amendment to our Form 10 registration statement. So that was in response to several questions we received from the SEC, which is really standard process until they've received all the clarification that they require. So I'd expect that there may be more questions from them and a further amendments or even amendments filed by us as a result. We now have, I'm not sure if many of you realize, but we now have 10 companies across the group. So as you can imagine, our Form 10 is quite a beast. But I think, as I said at the shareholder meeting, it really gives the most comprehensive overview of our company. It covers the risks we face, it covers our growth plans, and so to that end, I'd really urge all shareholders and certainly even potential new investors, if you are listening to this, to refer to our Form 10 for information on our company, including our 2023 plans, because that's all covered in depth within there. We've also been busy aligning funding with the deals we have in our pipeline, so we've been making really good progress there since the annual shareholder meeting. And then we've also been working through those necessary aspects to affect our uplist plans, as I mentioned, and that's all obviously aligned. Many have also asked for an update regarding our application to the OTCQB, given that we've been SEC reporting now since the 19th of December last year, 2022. So at this point, I'd just say we're primarily focused on other aspects, which in our view in the business are more crucial to our first big board move. So in line with this, I'd expect that, these things will all become clear fairly soon when the relative announcements are made. So we're just working through what we believe are the best priorities for the company, for its growth, and obviously those which will add maximum shareholder value, as we achieve the various milestones along the way. Then in terms of deals, we're working on several, as we've said many, many times, although we are particularly focused on key deals within each of the subsidiaries at the moment. So I'd say the most significant of these right now is a large US acquisition for emergency response technologies, which Dan Peters has been driving with my support. So this deal, as I said, it's a large deal. It's moving quickly. And if it's successful, and of course I must stress, if it's successful, we would expect it to close along a much quicker timeline than many of our current acquisitions or others that are at their final stages. It really would put ERT on the map in the US in a huge way, and it would also provide the ideal launchpad for firebug vehicles and specialist equipment in the US. So it's a very important deal for us. Essentially, with the completion of it in terms of revenue, order books, technology, footprints, and so much more, it would actually mean that we don't need to push many more acquisitions for ERT. But if you know us, if you know Nick and myself, slowing down really isn't in our vocabulary. So we do have other ERT acquisitions in the pipeline. We also have an important wildfire acquisition lined up. We have had for some time now, mostly because of the importance of that wildfire technology in our stable, in our firefighting portfolio. But for the moment, we are prioritizing the large US acquisition. It's obviously more time sensitive and it's more important to our goals. But then, as I said, we have other deals in the pipeline, including that wildfire deal, which are actually lined up already. Then, with regards to the other subsidiaries, as mentioned at our shareholder meeting, we're also working on a deal for our renewable subsidiary, Replay Solutions, and then several deals for our defense subsidiary, Hyperion Defense Solutions. So, we'll make announcements on those when required as we make the necessary progress. And then just speaking of Hyperion, they're actually exhibiting this week at IDEX in Abu Dhabi, in the Gulf region, in the UAE. So IDEX is one of the largest defense exhibitions. It has over 1,000 exhibitors. Obviously, due to its central location globally, there's a wealth of international decision makers in attendance. And so, of course, we wish Hyperion well at that event. I've got quite a few colleagues there today. And then just to say, Hyperion have actually also recently returned from the US, where they exhibited in Virginia Beach at the Joint Close Air Support Symposium. So that was more on the simulation side of things. So they're really making great strides. And I just think, one thing to add about the technology that Hyperion is working on is that it's just so critical to the world we're in today, to counterterrorism and things like that, which, actually threaten our livelihoods every single day. And I don't think many of us are actually aware of it. We all live in our little bubbles, or the majority of us do. And we're not necessarily aware of the amounts of terror threats our countries face on a daily basis. And technology is key. Groundbreaking technology is key to protecting us, to protecting our families, etc. And, that's why growing Hyperion and expanding its influence is so important to us. If you just take that counter IED technology alone, it's an absolute game changer. Improvised explosive devices, IEDs, are the highest cause of death in war zones. They've killed more American troops in war zones than anything else. So the technology that we're working on allows the early detection of IEDs. And so directly it can save thousands of lives and prevent thousands of catastrophic injuries. So, that's just one reason why Hyperion is so important to us at ILUS and fits everything that we're about as a company and what we're trying to do and be successful at. So I just wanted to mention that also with regards to Hyperion. We're putting a lot of focus into their growth. And then just in terms of other first quarter business progress, there's really a lot on the go, including some large purchase orders coming in at some of the businesses. On the Firebug side, we're seeing a heightened demand for our eRaptor electric utility vehicles, so that's great. We're also seeing some large projects picking up again. There was a bit of uncertainty in the second half of last year, so seeing these large projects pick up again is certainly a plus point. We're working hard at making some progress on the production and certification side of things, certainly on our fixed firefighting systems. I've been involved in some meetings recently, so it's good to see the progress being made there. We're also working on that US manufacturing capability for specialist vehicles, for equipment, etc. So there's a lot of things going on, as I said, under the hood in the business, and we've certainly been making some good progress this quarter. So, as I mentioned, there's also a lot more going on behind the scenes, but hopefully this gives you just a high-level flyover of everything that's going on, and it clarifies some of the questions you may have had or have. From my perspective, and certainly without mentioning specific timelines in terms of what to expect, I believe the next couple of weeks should certainly reveal a substantial amount about our progress, and I believe that they should be particularly exciting for ILUS shareholders. They're certainly very exciting for us. So, we look forward to sharing the next few weeks, the next month with you, the rest of this first quarter. There's a lot coming on, as I mentioned earlier, a lot coming to fruition, which is great. But of course, as always, though, the proof is in the doing, or in the pudding, as some people say, and not in the talking. So I encourage you to just watch this space. And then just to add before I close off, we are planning quite a few more podcasts over the coming weeks and months. There's a lot being rolled out, so we really, Nick and myself, just want to keep you updated during this period as these several things are unfolding. So I just thought I'd mention that too. If the podcast proved to be successful, then of course we'll keep doing them, probably for the medium, even long term, all going well. So, that's really it from me today. I look forward to updating you again soon, and thank you again for your continued support. Bye.